Good morning, everyone. Good morning from sunny Florida. Appreciate you being on. Hey, Sean, good morning. Welcome. Eric from Puerto Rico, good morning. Appreciate you all being on. Good morning. Good morning. I'm coming to you from sunny Florida today. I'm sure some of you know this. You may not know the date, but I've talked about it recently. This Saturday is actually our 28th anniversary, so just got away for a few days and just spending some quality time together down in Florida. So anyway, I went and found a quiet place. Seems like the car is the best place to do that. And so let's get into it. Hey, listen, as always, if you're new to Periscope, if you swipe up or swipe right and share, I already see some folks are sharing. I appreciate that. Then just follow the instructions from there. And as you see some hearts going up, thank you very much for those. Always appreciate those. Then if you hear something that you like, then please just tap the bottom right of the screen and let everybody know. So appreciate it again. Listen, today, just quickly talking about follow-up, something I had thought about a little bit over the weekend, and by the way, one of the reasons I came down here also, or that we came down here, was also to spend some time with Damon Baker. So we had a great presentation Saturday evening. It was awesome to see him and the team, and he and Pete and everybody. Just it was awesome. So anyway. But I was just thinking about follow-up in general, and the title, of course, The Fortune is in the ... is obviously in the follow-up. So follow-up is key to any business. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's network marketing, traditional business, whatever the case may be. If you're not following up, you're not going to do business. You're not going to be in business very long. So obviously, one of the keys for us is of course to make sure we're doing that. And I can get into a lot of different areas of this, whether it's making sure you have a good list, or making sure it's in writing, and all those are key. They're very important to share. But so bottom line is, make sure you're working from a very usable, trackable system, and life is about systems. Business is about systems, really, not life, but business is. And make sure that what you have works for you, so you can keep on top of who to follow up, when, how often, etc. What are the intervals going to be? So one thing I think a lot of folks kind of feel like, well, I'm going to bug people, or I don't want to bug folks, or I don't want to call them in the evening, or I don't want to call them on a weekend, or I don't want to call them while they're at work. And this is a limiting mindset that gives us an excuse to not follow up with people properly. And it's important that we don't do that. We want to make sure that we have our system in place. We're following up, because people need to know we care. They need to know we're committed to what we do. And if we're not following up with them, there's no way for them to know that we're committed. And some people will test you. Some will kind of hang back and wait and see. Well, how involved are you going to be? Are you going to keep in touch? Are you going to follow up? Are you going to check on me, etc.? And make sure that, again, that you're committed to the process before they make the decision to engage, to not engage, to get involved, to etc. So they need to know. And another important thing for us always to remember, because it happens to us, but you've heard me say this over and over, we can't escape our own perspectivity, and I didn't come up with that. That's something I've learned from Logan Stout, obviously. But if y'all can hear that, there's actually a bird that just landed on my car. Anyway, life gets in the way. So it gets in the way for us. Well, it gets in the way for the folks that we're talking to also about our business. Now, whether somebody is a prospective customer or a prospective business partner, associate, as we call them, it's both of them, life is going to get in the way. So we need to be careful to make sure that we respect that and understand it and remember it. But that's part of the importance of following up. is understanding that they're gonna have distractions. They may be excited and fired up when you meet with them on a Sunday afternoon, for example, but they get to work on Monday and the boss hits them with something, or whatever, something distracts them from having what they saw yesterday. It moves from the front of their mind to the back of their mind. So follow-up keeps that information and what you shared with them in the front of their mind. Again, whether it's customer, associate, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So, another very important reason is, especially when we're talking about potential associates, is associates are learning, or in effect being trained by us from the very first contact. So if they see that we're not following up, then they say, well, I don't have to follow up. So we need to understand and remember that everything we do with them, they're learning about the process. So if we follow up, then they understand I need to follow up. Excuse me. So all these actions that we take, and not just these, but everything that we do in the process of sharing our opportunity with folks, it's all very important. So maybe some of you have heard this before, but it's important to go over this just as a refresher. Some sales statistics that all of us need to keep in mind are 48% of, and we're going to say salespeople. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself a salesperson or not. We share what we do, and I get that. But let's keep it in that context of sales for a minute. 48% of salespeople never follow up, ever. So their mentality is one and done. So whether we're talking about a prospective customer, prospective business partner, again, same deal. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and they're done. They stop. 12% make 3 and they stop. 10%, only 10%, 1 out of 10, make 4 or more contacts. Well, so 10%, you talk about the 80-20 rule. Well, there's a 90-10 rule too. And 90% of the people make 10% of the income. It's true that 80% of the people make 20% of the income, or 20% make 80% of the income. It's the other 80% that are sharing the remaining 20% of the income. Well, it's the same with the 90-10 rule, and this really illustrates that. 10% make 4 or more contacts. Only 10%. So 10% are making 90% of the income as a result. There's no secret to it. They're just following the process. So, but here's the other side of this whole equation is 2% of sales happen on the first contact. 2%. So those 1%, or excuse me, those 48% that never follow up, they're missing out on 98% of the opportunity. Okay, I hope you're following me on that. I know I'm skipping around here a little bit. 3% of sales happen on the second contact. So if you're only contacting your prospect twice, you're missing out on 95% of your opportunity for success, your opportunity for growth, right? 5% happen on the third. So now we're up to a whopping 10% of all transactions or success happens within the third contact. 10% of sales happen on the fourth contact. The remaining 80%, again, 20% are making 80% of the money, 10% are making 90% of the money. 80% of sales happen on the 5th through the 12th contact. The 5th through the 12th, not the 5th through the 6th, the 5th through the 12th. And it's so important, I do have a sales background. My entire career prior to network marketing, I was in sales. And, my philosophy was this. I'm not taking you off my list until one of two things happens. One is you buy what I have to offer. And the second one is you tell me, don't call you anymore. Now, obviously, if yes, I am your numbers man, Holly. But you know, if you tell me don't call me anymore, obviously I'm going to respect that. You know, I respect the fact that somebody says, I'm done, your process is not going to work with me. And that's okay. You know, last week I talked about timing. I talked about the clock, you know, 3, 6, 9 and high noon. That's really important, again, to keep in mind with our process. Our process is sharing what we have. It's sharing our products, sampling, etc., but it's also sharing our opportunity. And understanding that if we stay committed to that process and we keep in touch with folks, again, you know, hey, do you mind if I keep in touch with you and just let you know how I'm doing? Well, people typically aren't going to say no to that. And it's the same with this. So we keep in touch. It's pretty much a documented statistic within our industry that it takes folks 3 to 8 exposures to our opportunity, to any opportunity, before they join it. So if we stop on the first contact or the first exposure, then again, we're limiting our opportunity for success. Well, we want to be part of the 10 or 20% that are making 80 and 90% of the income, right? So make sure you're committed to the process. And again, don't remove people from your list. And again, you know, as I've said this, as I'm talking, I'm looking in the mirror. You know, this is all reminding me of the important things that I need to do too. So, you know, as Logan says, I'm talking with you, not at you. So I hope that makes sense. But obviously, you know, don't take people off until one of those two things happen. And of course, do it in a professional manner. That's important. It should go without saying, but I think it's important. So, well, listen, I'm going to wrap up, as you know I always do, with a quote. And I found this one, and I thought it was kind of appropriate. It's from Randy Gage. And people think the opposite of success is failure. Well, it's not. Failure is a part of the process of success. So as you're following up with people, if they say, hey, leave me alone, it's okay. You know, that doesn't make that a failure. But if you feel like you did something and didn't do it right, it's okay. You know, we're all going to make mistakes. We've all made mistakes. We're going to continue, learn from them, obviously, and move on. So I hope this is helpful. You know, as always, hey, it's Monday. Actually, Holly and I fly back tonight. Can't wait to get back and see everybody this week and just wrap up the month in a huge way. Real excited about everything that's going on for everybody. Make sure you're engaged, push hard, and just make sure that you're wrapping up your month again in a big way. And as I say every day, you know, we get caught up in this, and the day takes control of us. Make sure the day doesn't run you. Make sure you run today. Make sure you own today, because this is the only day that we all have promised. So let's all go and knock it out of the park. Again, can't wait to see everybody back in Maryland when we head home later. And make sure you're on tonight. Tonight's webinar is going to be awesome. So can't wait till you all see what everybody has to share. It's going to be Logan, Wendy Ryan, and Dave Teef. So have an awesome day. We'll talk with you tomorrow morning. Thanks as always for joining.